Welcome to another episode of Bits and Bites. Today we have a special guest, and I know I always say this about all of our guests, but this one's a little extra special. We have Alfred Zagloul here with us today. I'll let him kind of handle his introductions because I think, he has a couple different titles. So, hey, Alfred, why don't you start us off on letting us know what you're doing and what you're up to now?
Just casually, a couple titles, whatever. So yes, I'm Alfred Zagloul. First of all, thank you for having me on here. Yeah, I don't even know how to go about it. So I'm an accountant, I'm a CPA, and I recently started my own company, Zagloul Consulting, and yeah, I don't even know what title I give myself. I think it's principal or I don't know, something. Anyways, I'm a guy that works a lot, essentially, and then I also run an Instagram account called Alfred Drinking Coffee, which is where a lot of people know me from. But yeah, so I'm accountant, coffee drinker, shoe enthusiast. I don't know. That's really my life.
I think you're segueing me to hijack the conversation about shoes. I'm not going to bite. I want to keep my job 100%. Here.
I just want to make this entire thing about shoes. Let's talk Nikes. That's it.
I feel like we're on the wrong podcast here.
We'll switch it up. Maybe the next one. We'll be good.
All right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel you kind of just let's backtrack a bit here, because I think okay. We kind of just we have all these titles, but come on, we can't it feels like there should be more hype around it. You're not just coffee drinker. Your social media, Alfred Drinks Coffee, is now at, I think last time I checked, 11,000 followers, which is insane. And then you run your own consulting firm for okay, let's start with a consulting firm. So how did that happen? How long have you, started this firm for? Was this always kind of in your, in the cards, I guess? I wanted to make a pun, but
yeah,
it didn't work. So
yeah. So look, I'll say this about myself. I'm not one to brag in any capacity. So if you need me to say something else, I'll happy to. I just sometimes I forget that part, especially because I'm talking about my business, but whatever, it's fine. So with Zagloul Consulting, it was definitely not always a part of the plan. It kind of it grew over time, the idea of running my own company and everything like that. But originally my goal when I first started going to school, I was in accounting, I was studying accounting, and I'm I'm gonna get my CPA and then be the controller of a company or a CFO, right? And that was the top tier that I ever thought of, because that was what was instilled in my degree, right? That the top you can be is partner at a firm or a CFO or a controller or whatever. So that was always my thought. So my first job was a junior accountant at Blends Coffee in their head office. And then a year later, I got a random text from Carm Samal, who is who's one of the co-founders of Daily Hive, who's also the CEO of Daily Hive, and we just talked. We had met each other a couple times beforehand, and he was looking for an accountant at the time. So we started working together a little bit. Obviously I took the job to work at Daily Hive because I'm that's the coolest thing ever. Why not? And started working as the first accountant in the accounting department over there. And we started working together on building the financial infrastructure of the organization. Throughout my years at Daily Hive, I start to see more and more the whole entrepreneurial spirit. Mm-hmm. And I start to realize more and more that I'm more than just an accountant, and that mentality kept being instilled in my head that I don't have to just be an accountant. Like there's so many things that I want to do. Why can't I do everything? So it kind of hit, and to be honest, it was one of those things where like I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't know what to do. Right. So it's weird that my first go-to was not accounting, to be like, I should just go into accounting as an entrepreneur. But as I start to progress more and more working at Daily Hive, I was learning so many things and learning not just accounting and like growing my accounting skill set, but I was also understanding the digital ad space. I was learning about marketing. I was learning about sales. I was educating myself on just like the whole rounded aspect of working in a startup. Because when you work in a startup, you tend to be a part of every conversation, whether it's in your department or not, right? So so that was something that like I got to learn a little bit more. And through the friends that I made over there, I started to understand their departments a lot more as well, right? So I would say two and a half years ago, I hit a point where I actually met up with a friend of mine who owned his own business. And it's okay if I bring up people's names, right? Companies and stuff like that.
As long as they're okay with it, we can't afford a lawsuit.
if he yells at me, that's fine. But anyway, so I met with Matt Wu, who's known as the Real Dumpling King, and he makes like bomb dumplings. And I'm not just saying this, but like the guy knows his stuff, right? So we were friends. We made a friendship, like we created a friendship over the last like few years. And he wanted my accounting advice because he was working with an accountant at the time. And we sat down, we were just talking, and he showed me what they provided him and the bill that they gave him. And he's like, it's kind of crazy how much they're charging me to do this work. And I'm like, did they give you this? Did they give you this? Did they give you this? Like, he's just like, no, they just filed my taxes. And I'm like, if I did this for you, and I just threw the words out there, like I didn't even think about it. And I was just like, if I did this for you, I would charge you way less and give you way more. And next thing you know, it turned into he's like, if you created an accounting company, I would be your first client. I would sign up for life. And we took it as a joke at first. And then next thing you know, within 5 days, I had created the name, registered the business, started working with them, right? Wow. And my biggest focus with that was that there was just something missing. There was that sense of like educating the client, walking them through the accounting side, like what I'm looking at, why I think you should do this instead of that, and this like internal understanding that you don't know what you don't know, right? So like him as a non-accountant, there's no way he's going to understand why his gross profit needs to be X percentage. There's no reason he's going to think my meals and entertainment are a little bit too high. Like there's certain things that you just don't think about, because most business owners that are outside of business think sales, gross profit, profitability. That's it. They don't think about anything else, right? Whereas accountants, we analyze everything, right, in depth. So after about a month, we started to realize that there were certain things that that I could actually add value to and educate him on, and that turned to him and I promise, I'm not just saying this, I would not be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for the fact that Matt was my first client. And I'm always indebted to him forever. Like whatever he needs, I will be there, because he passed my name on to a bunch of other people. And over the last few years, I realized that there was this niche missing of accountants that actually took the time to educate their clients. Oh. Right. And for me as a core value, I'm always wanting, this is outside of accounting, this is just my personal belief, is putting everything I can into helping people. Right. So if I can add value to your life, if I can add value to your education, if I can help you in any capacity, I will, because helping the people around me, and this is, again, my mentality is helping the people around me will help me grow as well. So if I do that with my clients, I can help them grow. And as they grow, they'll need more skill set from me. They'll need more work from me. They'll need more work from my team, which means my company and myself will grow as well with them, right? So there's this constant like need and want to help each other out. And that was really it. That was like what was missing. And I saw that there was a need for it. So I just kept going. And next thing you know, like, I don't know how this happened, but next thing you know, I had like a bunch of clients where it got to the point where I needed to do this full time. Like, I didn't have the time to work at Daily Hive and do my consulting on the side. And as terrifying as that day was, where I took this full time, there was a sign that basically told me like, this is the right way for you to go. And now I'm at a point where I'm working like 12, 14-hour days. I hate my life, but whatever, it's fine. Like I love what I do, and I love those calls with clients where we'll go through some things, and sometimes it's even like a hard conversation where I'm telling a client like, hey, like, you're doing this wrong. You need to do this, this, and this, otherwise your business could go under, right? And even after that conversation, they could get really mad at me at the time, but after, there'll be that realization that Alfred's literally just saying these things to help me, right? Because he cares about my health, because sugarcoating at this point doesn't add value, right? So yeah, so it was really just like, it felt like instinctive for me to just help him with the skill set that I had. So that's kind of why I went into this field. It was haphazard, but not at the same time. And it just like led to where I am now, which is crazy.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Now you can go first.
No, like, I just want to say, like, I feel like you've touched on like so many really good points here. Like, the first being like, it's entrepreneurship isn't like, you're destined for it. Like, sometimes it's just like a spark, like something like a eureka moment for some. Sometimes it's just a gradual realization that, hey, like, you can turn something that you're passionate about into something that you take on as your own. And like, the other thing too, touching on how you're working with Daily Hive, like, it's really like, everyone, as the whole point of this podcast is to highlight the building blocks that build up a company. It's not just about, the CEOs or the founders. Like, there's very core essential people that make these companies run. And I think you elaborate that fact even further when you did go into your like consulting firm and you met with Matt, and he was like, realized like, hey, like, you're my like missing piece to like building up my business. And like, that's, like, that's the stuff that we want to talk about. Like, that's what we're here for. So I'm all excited. Like, yeah, sorry,
that's
Sam,
amazing.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I want the record to state that, some people, when they start their business, their first customer is their mom, it's their brother, it's their homie. This guy goes after the king.
First of all, you think my mom is going to trust me with her money? Absolutely not.
I can see where you might run into a couple of problems there. I think that's one piece of business you got to sidestep and just hand it off to someone you trust. But I also really I think you dropped some advice just for aspiring entrepreneurs out there. Like I know there's a lot of podcasts, there's a lot of articles. I think a lot of really cool people on the internet that, like, to always talk about like being helpful, just reaching out and doing whatever you can, adding value. Like you hear a lot of those buzz terms on the internet, but like, I think what's missing behind that is like, other than just feeling good, right? Which is fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing the right thing and feeling good. I'm not advocating for you to go out and hurt people. But it's practical. Like, helping people is practical. It's profitable, right? Like, and I think that's really missing a lot of times when we only look at data. And again, I'm not anti-data. I'm not talking about all that. Like, when we lose that human touch, we lose that human connection, and we automate literally everything. We lose that, right? Because we no longer have that deep connection with our customers, or we're not spending the technology on AI to better understand our customers. Whatever. I'm very much generalizing here, so I'm spiraling. But like, my point being is that, like, I think not enough people understand that, and they want to jump right to closing. They want to jump right to whatever, because you don't know, like, and I apologize because I don't know Matt at all, but he sounds like a really cool dude if he calls himself the Dumpling King. Like, what was he doing before he was like the Dumpling King?
He was like making those dumplings like, it was like 5 years prior to me.
Right.
Prior to
and
me,
you
like,
guys must have met through something else, right? Like you didn't just show up at his
we met through like, no. We met through like Alfred Drinking Coffee, just like talking. And his fiance now worked with me at Daily Hive. So like I met through like, through coworkers, friends, whatever. Right. And before that, he was working as, I think it was like, he was a teller at a bank.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but yeah, like what? Go for it.
But that's exactly my point, and I took a hunch there, right? Like if you had looked at him and 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, and we're like, well, he's a banker, dude. Like he's not going to need my help anytime soon. Just brush it off, right? Like you never needed to answer those DMs. You didn't need to answer my DM, which is how we got connected. That probably won't be as profitable, but. Hey, you don't know who's listening, right?
You never know.
Yeah, and no, that's exactly the point, right? Like I think if you're just trying to be helpful first, without asking back, and that's I think one of our mottos here that we internally kind of try and live out at launch is just to kind of pay it forward, right? Like we don't know what happens tomorrow, and I'm not just saying that because I want to look like Sam, the nicest guy on the internet or whatever. Like that's cool if that's us at the end of the day, but I think it's practical. So kudos to you for that.
Mm-hmm. I think the number one thing that I've noticed with that specific aspect, I know we want to talk about 1,000 other things, but the one thing that I really noticed the most is like, it needs to be genuine, right? Like if you're disingenuous, you're like, I'm going to help people because it's going to benefit me. People can tell, right? Like it's not just my clients that I'm trying to help out, right? Like, and even when you're saying like responding to DMs or responding to people's messages, I get messages all the time, right? I get people reaching out all the time. So I respond to as many people, if not all people, as much as possible, not because like it can benefit me at the end of the day, but like if they're asking me a question, who am I to not answer, right? It's not like I'm The Rock where I have like 50,000 people messaging me a day. And even then, he probably responds to most people, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that big of a deal to brush people off, right? And I think for me, at the end of the day, if someone's asking me a question and they need an answer to it, I'm going to help, right? So just being genuine is probably the most important thing. So being genuine to who you are will actually allow you to grow even more. And for me, it just was helping people.
Yeah. I feel that really resonates with me too, because like I used to have a community online as well, and that was kind of my mindset. It's like I feel this urge to like reply to everyone, and in some ways it has like hurt me in the end, and other ways that's another whole story. But
let's get into it.
There are some people that don't need replies, okay?
Yeah,
not a catch-all.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah. But like I think that is like one thing that helped me grow like my own brand when I was doing that is that people saw that genuineness, that like they saw the sincerity. Like they didn't like I've had countless messages being like like it's really great that like you reply, because like I wasn't expecting a message from you, but like it's awesome that you're a real human, like you're actually like there. And like it's the thing, like people want that like sincerity, like they want that human connection, not just Instagram page with lots of cool photos, but like they want to know the person behind that.
They want to feel like they're friends with this person. Like if I'm following you, I need to know why, right? And I need to get to know you as a person. So I definitely get that.
And I think it's a good approach to take as well when it comes to businesses. Like, when you're trying to bring in your customers, like they need a reason to like trust you. And, sometimes trust is based on whether or not they like you or not. Like he's like, hey, I got a good feeling with this guy. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to take that leap. Like that's something what's happened with Matt. He was like, hey, I remember this guy. Like, or like, oh, hey, like you guys connected. And then like, you know what? Like what you're offering to him was like, that sounds great. Let's do it. Like, so great person.
It works out. It works out pretty well. It's just I don't know. It's crazy to think where I would be if I didn't take those steps, right? Like if, and again, it's not all on me, obviously. Like I'm not that great. But I think that like if we can continue to be genuine, we can continue to like help each other out as much as possible. Like I don't know where the world would be at that point, you know? So being able to do that is huge.
When did you start again? I feel like I missed the date.
So I started November 2019.
Okay.
So roughly
like
2
officially,
years.
like November 2019.
And that's when you kind of quit your job and went full throttle.
No,
into
so I started full time, like doing Zagloul consulting full time, November 2020.
So that's
so
in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting. Like, what I found, because this was the craziest thing. I'm like, the fact that like I was able to get like people reaching out for accounting help in the pandemic means that there really is a need for what I'm offering, right? Because what ended up happening, I was obviously like, I didn't launch, like I did a soft launch, let's say, early on, like built the site and everything like that, but I never like launched anything. And then the pandemic hit, and my only instinct was there's CEWS coming out, there's grants, there's people stressing out over their financials. Like if I can help one or two people or one or two businesses manage their funds, why not? Right? Like, and that was again like where my mind went to, like, let's really head in this direction. And I got, in that year, I think it was like 10 clients that had reached out to work with me, right? And that was when it really hit hard that like I need to do this full time. Right? Like I just needed to provide that value, especially in the pandemic, right?
Yeah. But then after you started, were there still points that you're like, oh, and bleep, I'll just bleep myself. Like, did I make the wrong choice? Like, did you ever feel like that?
No. So I never felt like I made the wrong choice. I felt like, who am I to be able to do this? That was the question, right? It was like, I knew I wanted to do this, and I knew that I could succeed if I really put my head to it. But there were days where I'm just like, am I really doing this? Am I the right person to be doing this? Right? And then I just kept going. I'm like, okay, like just push through, like whatever, like you gotta get this done. Right? And then you start to see the reward, and the reward for me has never been financial. Right? And as crazy as that is, as an accountant to say, it's never been financial. It's seeing the level of comfort that comes from the clients, like that are not stressed about their financials anymore, right? Like seeing where they were and seeing that growth for them is incredible, right? Like the other day, me and Matt were actually talking about his growth, like his business growth, and having to hire people and like growing his business and stuff like that over the year and a half that we worked together, right? And seeing that to me is like, we've done something. Like I've actually helped him get to a point where he's better off, right? And that to me was super rewarding. So seeing those things, seeing those aspects really, really helped me a lot. So I never was like, no, I shouldn't be doing this, but it was more so like, can I really do this? Right?
Yeah. And other than Matt, like what kind of other clients are you usually working with or looking to work with?
So I work with a wide range of clients, right? So I work with obviously food clients. I work with a bunch of food clients. I work with some social media clients. I work with some tech clients. I work with some VFX clients, construction companies, like design companies. Just pretty well-rounded client base. And what I found is I'd say 70% of the time, the issues are all the same. Very different industries, but the issues are usually the exact same. Right. So there's a lot of like, there's a lot of flow to the work that's being done. Right. And I also found that because I'm able to see multiple different industries, I can see what works in one. And if it works there, maybe it'll work and be beneficial in another industry. And I've seen it happen in like multiple different industries, trying to see if that works, and it definitely pans out. So it's been interesting.
And so my question is like, how is there like a certain size that you usually work with? Like, so let's say like, you know, there's a listener, we have like startups listening in, and they're like, hey, like, at what point should I think about hiring on like your services, like Zagloul Consulting? Like,
right.
Do you think that, you know, for the companies that you work with so far, are they more kind of, you know, medium size? Are they really more smaller startups, or are they like, you know, larger? Like, is there a minimum requirement, do you think, or how do you think about
I wouldn't say there's a minimum requirement. And it's funny, I had people reach out to me about this before, and the conversation is really how much financial and accounting knowledge you have. And you gotta really be honest with yourself, right? Because you don't know everything. I don't know everything. I'm running my own business. I don't know everything, right? But I need to hire the right people that do, right? And being that honest with yourself and knowing your flaws, knowing where you need help is the key. So taking that back to when to hire an accountant, or hire a consulting firm, or whoever you want to hire, it's really understanding how much you can take on yourself without being strained. Because the goal of an entrepreneur that's often forgotten is to build up the business, to build up value in the business. But if you're focusing on things that are taking up a lot of your time and actually are detrimental to your business, then you're not providing yourself, your business, or the people that work for you a service, right? So when it comes down to hiring someone, you could be making $5-6 grand a year, let's say, like on a small scale, in revenue. You could be making $1 million in revenue, right? You could be making 50 million in revenue. But if you or your team have the skill set to handle it, then that's fine, right? But it's when you can't handle it, when you need someone to really dive into the numbers, that's when it comes into play, right? So I definitely have a wide range of clients. Like, I have clients that are honestly making like maybe 10 to 20,000, and I have clients that are making like 50 mil, right? And it just really depends on their needs, depends on what's going on, right, with them. But at the end of the day, it's really knowing when you need someone to analyze the financials and to provide that for you, right? So that's my suggestion, basically.
And then
I know it's super vague.
No, it's not vague at all, actually. But I was gonna ask, like, on the reversal side, like, since obviously, like, we're talking about your busy hours and all that kind of stuff, like, I think something people don't realize when they're reaching out to services is it's two-way, right? So maybe I want to work with you, but maybe you don't want to work with me, right? Like,
yes, that does happen
at a different point, but I think everybody has their own, like, this is what I do, this is what I don't do, right? Like, for you, how do you, since, you know, you talked about having clients of, you know, broad spectrums along, like, you know, financials and stuff like that, like, how do you decide who you want to work with? And I don't want to be completely negative, but like, who maybe wouldn't fit what you're looking to do?
So my speciality, from CPA and from like my entire skill set and experience, is performance management and tax, right? But a speciality mainly in performance management. And what that is analyzing the financials and the infrastructure of a business internally. So I can essentially evaluate how to efficiently spend a dollar and efficiently spend every dollar that's coming in, so that you maximize your profitability, you maximize your benefit to what you're trying to achieve, right? Some people are just looking for a tax accountant. I'm like, that's not me, because quite frankly, that's boring, right? Like, it's plugging in numbers and I give you a report and that's it. I want to be able to add value to your business. So sometimes it just doesn't fit. Now, the other side of it, and this is the hardest thing that I will say for anyone on either side, right? Is if the person themselves and the business owner themselves will not mesh well with you, right? Because if I'm bringing you on as a client, I'm going to be working with you a lot, right? I'm going to be communicating with you a lot. If we're never going to see eye to eye, and you could, I consider myself a good judge of character, and if I feel like I can tell that we're not going to mesh right off the bat, I'm going to say no. The reason this becomes hard is when you're starting your business and you want those sales coming through the door.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes you're like, I'll give this person a shot, but you know in your head, it doesn't matter how much they pay you, you're going to hate working with them. Right. If you're okay with foregoing the funds and you don't put the focus on making money, then you'll be able to bring on quality clients that you want to work with continuously. Right? That's kind of where it is. And it's like, it's human nature. Like you can tell right off the bat, like they say it's an elevator pitch, but you can essentially tell in 30 seconds if that person's going to be a decent fit or not, if they're going to be difficult or not. And we've interacted with so many people in our lives that you'll be able to tell like how this person's going to be as a business owner. Right? So that's kind of where I'm at, is like, if I feel like we're not going to be a fit, sometimes I give people a shot, right? Because I'm also the kind of person to want to just give people a chance. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Most of the time I'm not. But what ends up happening is like we'll do 2-3 months of working together, and if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit, right? And I just have to be okay with that, and they have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
That's a really good point though that's brought up here, because like, you know, you want to like the whole like you want to get every sale, but you're right, like you're going to be working with this person. It's kind of like when you're a CEO of a company or your own like business owner and stuff, like you have an employee that, you know, just doesn't mesh with the team. Like there's sometimes that point where you just got to realize like, I'm sorry, like the mesh isn't there. So
yeah
that's 100% don't work with jerks. I started that 4 years ago, still hasn't caught on. I wonder why.
Maybe it will now.
Maybe I'm the jerk, so they don't want to take my hashtag.
But yeah, like it's not really calling anyone out in a sense. Like just some mindsets don't work well together, right? So like I've had people that like care so much about the financials, and I'm like, okay, cool, care about your money, but if you're not providing the qualitative and you're not providing value for every dollar that you're selling, essentially, you're going to lose your client base. And having that understanding is huge. So I've had people where they're like, I just want to make money. And I'm like, that's not me. And I'm never going to think that way. I can help you with that. But if that's your only focus, then we're not going to mesh well. Right. And it's not a jerk. It's not a horrible individual. Like, it's just, we're not a good fit. So you can find someone else essentially at that point. Right.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. So we are kind of approaching the hour now. So I do want to touch a little bit more on, Alfred drinks coffee, because I think that it's just it's just such a, like you wouldn't see as like, accountant, and then like I want to, and the word influencer, there's always some kind of mixed feelings about it. But...
So before we go too deep, if you guys, if you're listening right now and you don't know Alfred drinking coffee, just go on his Instagram, give him a follow, and give it a scroll through, right? The feed is a work of art. And you don't have to like coffee. Like I've sent it to multiple people that don't give two craps about coffee. It's just fun. And I don't want to spoil it. So just go take a look.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So I can see you've already had that mixed feeling about the word influencer. So what are your thoughts on it?
It pains me. Okay, so it's influencer. I don't consider myself an influencer at all, right? And the reason I hate like I don't hate a lot of things, but I like loathe the word influencer, because the stigma of being an influencer is just like this level of arrogance. And like, you're like, I'm Alfred drinking coffee. Like, do you know who I am? Like, no one cares who you are. Like, why? So I would never consider myself an influencer. I would just say like, I'm just a guy that likes coffee. Like that was really it, right? And sometimes yeah, the world, the coffee world is like it's crazy, and I promise you, I have no idea why people follow me. I do not get it. I didn't understand it at the first like 20 follows. I didn't understand it when I hit 10K. I don't understand it at all. But I think it was just like this deadpan demeanor that clicked, and it was so different than every other influencer out there, right? Because when I first started, just to like give you a backstory, like I didn't think this was going to take off, and all I wanted to do, like, this was just something fun to essentially like review coffee, right? But when I looked at it, I'm like, at the time, every male influencer was essentially a model, right? Like 6-pack abs, like shirtless all the time. And I'm just like, first of all, at the time I was like 100 pounds heavier. And I'm like, there's no way. Like, there is absolutely no way that people will scroll through my pictures and then see the guy that's jacked and be like, yeah, I'm gonna follow Alfred instead. So I'm like, I need to do something different. So what we thought was, I'm an accountant. Why not be a boring accountant reviewing coffee, right? So that's where the deadpan face came in. That's where the descriptions came in. It was like, even the descriptions are like super analytical. It's like this, it has this, and this. And because of that, it has this, and this. It is good. Like that's literally it. Like, it just, it's like a math equation. And it was like the greatest thing. And over time, it built up to what it is now, where people that know me know that like Alfred drinking coffee is just a persona, right? It's not who I am. And then I've had people only know me through Alfred drinking coffee and then see me outside. And they messaged me after being like, I didn't realize it was you because you were smiling. Like, the entire time I saw you, you were laughing and happy. And then for a second you stopped, and then I noticed that it was you, but it was too late to come talk to you. And I'm just like, yep, sounds about right. But yeah, so that's kind of just like an intro into like what I'm doing, right? As Alfred drinking coffee. It's fun.
And now you got like some merch too, right?
Well, I was gonna ask, what about the t-shirts? Because like the whole colorful t-shirts thing from day one, like it seemed,
yeah,
obviously in retrospect, it seemed like you planned it, but like at the beginning, what was going on there?
So we did actually plan it from the beginning, right? So it was me, my coworker and really good friend Alex, and then another friend of mine, Kaylee, threw out the idea of Alfred drinking coffee, right? And they were actually the ones that were pushing me to do it. I didn't even want to do it, but they're like, you have to do it. And at the time, we had been throwing around the idea of wearing the same gray shirt every day. And then Alex suggested, why not get multiple colors? And as people scroll through, because Instagram's never going to change their their layout. So we do 3 pictures in one color, 3 in another, and it will line up. And as we scroll through, they'll see the rainbow. In my head, I'm like, sure, I'll order these shirts, but like, no one's going to scroll through this page. No one's going to, like, we're going to do 9 pictures max and then stop caring. But I did it anyways. And that was kind of like the intent, is like, as you scroll through, you see like the color wheel going through. So it actually was planned beforehand. But yeah, it was intriguing that it actually caught on, because after a while, people that started following me at like my, say, like 200th post, didn't see the ones before. And then I did like a retro post at one point, and people started to scroll through, and I got messages being like, I didn't even think about scrolling through your pictures. It is amazing. And I'm just like, yeah, that was the idea. Not my idea. but that was the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you like, I just gotta wonder now, like, are you running out of shirts? Like, are you still doing like the different shirt a day? Like, how many shirts do you have now then?
So the other thing is like coffee companies now have been like sending me shirts as well to post with their coffee. So I have a crazy ton of coffee shirts. Running out of shirts is not an issue right now. But because when COVID hit, like I went from obviously posting in the office to posting at home, and I took a whole different like viewpoint on it, because like as you kind of mentioned, and Sam rudely cut you off, but whatever. So I started launching my own merch, and like I decided to like post the merch while taking those pictures, still providing that same like 3-pronged approach, but the color wheel isn't fully there anymore. That was the only thing. But still trying to do the same layout in a sense, where you scroll through and it's multiple different colors.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I love like, because I was scrolling through your feed too, and I love that you just got that like once in a while you just like throw in like a wild card, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's what that to me is like what like killed me, like in terms of like your feed and everything. Like it just adds in this like extra level to your persona, and the I guess like you know your like I don't know the word for it, but it's just like that, you know, you needed that last little glaze on top.
Exactly. People would lose it over those like random posts. Like it's actually come to a point where every year I have to, like, it's not even a national holiday, but it's become an Alfred drinking coffee holiday where I have to post a PSL picture every year. Like the second it's out, a PSL picture has to come out. I have to wear that Aritzia like infinity scarf. Like, it has to be. It's not mine. Just clarify this, because people are always like, you have that. Why would you buy that scarf? I'm like, it's not mine. Like, I promise you. But I have to post those pictures. Like it's become a thing.
That's an extremely Vancouver thing.
The the scarves, the
Aritzia scarf, like
for
sure.
Oh, like you see it all the time. But yeah, so that's become my life.
I think what we need to do is we need to get you in a launch shirt as well. So we'll send that your way. When it lifts up.
Let me know.
We'll send it over, and it'll pile on to all your other promotional shirts.
Perfect. I'm excited.
Awesome. All right. Well, I do have to, tie this up. I'm actually a little bit sad because this is really great. Like like the energy that we have here, like this is what I live for. This is why I love doing these episodes.
Well, we can make a promise on air that we're gonna do this again. We're gonna bring Tom back, and then we're gonna feed you some weird coffees.
Love it.
Yeah, maybe we should even do like a partnered like dual guest maybe, and like you guys
like we'll have to do it in person once like everybody's healthy and well and stuff like that, so that we can poison you with whatever concoction we come up with, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think I already have a challenge in my head. Like we can put you both on the table and just kind of like do these like mysterious coffee ones, and then we'll make you like taste test them. Can you decipher if it's McDonald's decaf or if it's like Tim Hortons brew? Who's the real coffee king?
I see how it is.
One of your reputations
I'm calling it right
down.
Oh yeah, well. Probably both of our reputations will go down, but it's fine. It's fine. But I'm gonna say it as is right now. Tom knows way more about coffee than I do, so he will blow me out of the water. But I'm down to do it.
It'll be hilarious. But yeah, we'll definitely we'll make sure to do a follow-up episode with both of you, and even just for yourself too. Just get an update on like how how Zagloul Consulting is going and how Alfred drinks coffee is. Like, hey, maybe next time you bring you in, you're going to get like 200,000 followers. And you're just like,
okay, let's relax. Maybe like 150, but like, no.
Not after this podcast. You're going viral, man. We got you laughing here. Like, I don't know how many interviews you do, but we just screen capture this and.
Perfect. This will be great.
Oh, man. awesome.
No, this has been a blast. Like it's been a lot of fun talking to you guys.
Yeah, this is what we live for, like I said.
Yeah.
I do have to ask you one last question though, that we ask every guest.
No more questions.
I guess we gotta cut off this whole episode, guys. I'm sorry. We gotta get a new guest in.
Gotta go.
I'm leaving. No.
Oh no.
Go for it. Go for
sorry,
it.
my like cheeks are just like I need to get these massage later. All right. So last question. If you could establish your dream team of 3 people, let's say it's for Zagloul, let's say you want to start a totally new different business, you got a crazy idea. They could be celebrities, they could be, there could be dead historians, presidents, a cartoon character. Who would those 3 people be? And if you do have a reason why.
Okay. I would have to say the top 3 people would be, I'd want to work with Howard Schultz, who was like the former CEO and founder of Starbucks, because it's Starbucks. Like it's like I don't care what people say. Like people in the coffee community sometimes are like, "Why would you go to Starbucks? Why would you drink Starbucks?" I'm like, look, they created a billion-dollar industry out of nothing, right? Like not even a company, an industry. So they knew their stuff, right? So it would be incredible to work with him. Phil Knight would be another one, because like Nike, like I am a die-hard Nike fan. Like it took a long time for me to get to a point where I would buy Adidas shoes like that, like to that extent. Like I need to, like my first pair of Adidas in like 10 years were like these black and white NMDs, and then the Tokyo NMDs, just because they were really nice. But everything else is Nike for me. So working with Phil Knight would have been a dream. And then working with, I know this is super out of left field, but like Ryan Reynolds, because the way that he advertises his businesses is brilliant. Like it's just hilarious. And I feel like no matter what we do, the business would skyrocket because of his funny advertising.
Yeah.
So
you're not the first person to mention Ryan Reynolds either. I have to go back in the archives, but you might be onto something.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Like Aviation Gin was nothing without him. Let's just say it as is, right? But like I just think he's hilarious. So the way that he brands his stuff is just the funniest thing, and whatever business would come out of it, out of like all 4 of us, if they even want to work with me at that point, but the 4 of us would come out with something amazing, I think.
Yeah, no, Ryan Reynolds is
or like them, and I'd piggyback, but whatever, it's fine.
So the question is, can the 4 of you guys save the Green Lantern series?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like there would be a trilogy at that point.
Oh, man.
Oh man.
Well, I gotta say that was a blast. Like, and I love Ryan Reynolds. Honestly, I answered this question too, and I said The Rock and Kevin Hart. But you know what? Like, kind of want to switch out maybe The Rock for Ryan Reynolds, because you're right. The advertising is like on point.
Jean is the worst at this game, and it's my job to hold her accountable. First of all, she made the game up, and she said 4 people. Oh, and now she's switching people mid-season.
She's hearing other people's answers. She's like I like your answer better.
Yeah.
But but you know what? Do you like it? Look, it's your question. You do what you want. Don't let Sam bother you.
Exactly.
Harsh.
Oh man. Whew, what a blast. All right. Well, we do have to end this episode. We are running out of time. So Alfred, thanks again so much for joining us. Thank you all of our listeners. I hope you had a great laugh along with us as you were listening or watching this episode. Make sure to check out Alfred. Hey Alfred, are you what's the best way to contact you for if they want to reach out about Zagloul Consulting, if there's any open spaces, if you're looking to potential new clients?
Yeah. So if they want to reach out for a accounting work, they can either reach out to email me directly at alfred@zagloulconsulting.com. They can go to my website and there's a questionnaire that they can like send me a form to, and I'll reach out like within 24 hours, not a problem. Or on Instagram at zagloul.consulting, and you can DM me there. That's totally fine.
Perfect. And then obviously we also got the other side. So for those that are like coffee enthusiasts, want to check out, just Alfred Drinks Coffee. It is a genius page, I gotta say. Like, so check that out. We'll make sure to add in the social handles to the description so you guys have easy access to, check him out and contact him. But yeah, thanks again, Alfred, for joining us on the show. And hopefully we'll reconnect sometime in the future once, things clear up a bit and we can actually have that, coffee competition. Who knows? For sure. No, that would be amazing. No, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Perfect. Have a great day.
Bye.